I also recognize that there are a lot of people out there writing genres who, if they were to go to an MFA, would either be told, oh, your work is lowbrow, it's not serious enough, or what have you, or they would have to force their writing square peg in a round hole to do the type of writing that isn't necessarily their jam. It's not what they want to be doing. All of this constellation of ideas came together, and the way it got started was I was sitting in graduation, and I'm half expecting light to come streaming in through the stained glass windows of the church where we're sitting in the ceremony, and I'm expecting the literary gods to whisper from on high, you are magically now a writer, blah, blah, blah. None of that happened. Instead, I got this crazy idea. What if you could DIY this experience? So being a writer, I went home and I did what all normal writers do. I blogged about the experience and about this idea. And I expected this blog post to go out into the ether and never pick up any traction. I had a teeny tiny personal blog with like 12 followers. One of them was my mother. We're talking really microscopic audience at the time. And so I expected it to go out into the ether, never hear from it again. Instead, the next morning, I get at least a few dozen email responses in my inbox, a whole bunch of comments on the blog post. So I realized I'd hit a nerve. And then at that point, I was like, well, I better do something about it. And so the rest, as they say, is history. That is where DIY MFA grew from, was me trying to figure out how to respond to the response to that blog post.
That's so cool. So that's such a great story. And I like hearing a story where it was coming from a place of good experience, not a place of bad experience. That makes it fun as well.
Absolutely. And I want to be very clear too. The MFA is a wonderful experience for a very specific group of writers. So if you're in that Office Cat agrees with me here. If you're in that very specific group of writers, you're writing literary fiction, you have a school in your backyard, you've got the money in the bank that you can invest, all the planets are aligning, by all means, go and get this experience. It is incredibly valuable. I learned a ton from it. It's also, I think, unrealistic to expect that that little pocket of writers is a one size fits all. And I think that's the major fundamental problem with a lot of these MFA programs, is that they treat it like a one size fits all, when really it's a one size fits some, but there's a whole other group of people that it just doesn't fit.